very good morning. Just past 8 by the clock. We are back again with another edition of Breakfast News. Over the next 60 minutes, this is your one-stop show for all that matters from the world of news from the night gone by and the day forward. We cut all the noise, bring you news as it happens on the ground, where we take a 360-degree look at all the events that take place today in the field of politics, business, sports, entertainment. Also a look on the COVID-19 battle and the vaccination drive that's gaining pace in India. I am Anil Thomas, and to take you through the next 60 minutes, my co-anchor Rukma Datta. Rukma, good morning.
A very good morning to you, Anil, and to all our viewers as well. So, the next 1 hour full of news, top headlines from across India and the world, dominated by news about the weather, which is playing truant not just across the country but across the world as well. In freak weather in many parts of the country. All that and more with our reporters on the ground. News from sports, business as well as health and across the world. But first, here are the headlines.
Maharashtra continues to be affected with heavy rains. Landslide reported at Talye village in Raigad. Prime Minister Narendra Modi discusses the situation with Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, assures all possible support from the centre to mitigate the situation.
Successful operation by security forces in encounter in Sopore town of Baramulla district in Jammu and Kashmir. 2 terrorists killed, incriminating materials including arms and ammunition recovered.
Various bills to be introduced in the parliament today. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to move a bill to amend the Factoring Regulation Amendment Bill 2020. A bill to constitute a committee for preparation of Uniform Civil Code to be introduced in Rajya Sabha. Reports of various standing committees to be laid down in both the houses.
India's vaccination coverage surpasses landmark milestone of 42 crores, more than 48,86,000 doses administered yesterday. 13 crore 85 lakh doses administered in age group 18 to 44 so far.
President-elect of the 76th General Assembly of UN and Minister of Foreign Affairs to Maldives, Abdulla Shahid, scheduled to meet External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar today. Talks on key international, multilateral, regional and bilateral issues of mutual interest to take place.
Bangladesh continues to be severely affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Positivity rate rises to over 32% with 3,697 new cases yesterday. Strict lockdown to be reimposed in the country from today.
And in sports, Tokyo Summer Olympics start today with the opening ceremony in the evening. MC Mary Kom and Manpreet Singh to be the flag bearers of Indian contingent. DD National to telecast the opening ceremony live.
India to take on Sri Lanka in third and final ODI at R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo today. India leads 2-0 in 3-match ODI series. And now let's take a look at the news in detail.
Well, starting first up with rains creating havoc in the western state of Maharashtra, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking to Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray on Thursday and discussing the rain and flood situation in the western state. In a tweet, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, spoke to Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray and discussed the situation in parts of Maharashtra in the wake of heavy rainfall and flooding, assured all possible support from the centre to mitigate the situation, praying for everyone's safety and well-being.
Meanwhile, incessant rains continue in Mumbai and suburban areas. Several other places in Thane and Palghar districts also witnessing incessant rains, which affected normal life badly. Rains have ravaged the Konkan region for several days now, causing major rivers in Ratnagiri and Raigad districts to overflow above the danger levels. Many areas of Ratnagiri district have been severely affected, with the Chiplun bearing the brunt. Rescue operations are on in several districts of the state after relentless rain caused flooding and huge property damage across the Konkan region. The situation is grim in Khed and Mahad area as well, where rescue operations are on in full swing. The Jagburi river is also flowing above the danger mark in Khed. Flood alerts have been sounded in nearby areas. The National Disaster Response Force has deployed 9 rescue teams, including 4 in Mumbai and 1 each in Thane and Palghar districts. 2 teams have also been sent to Kolhapur. Meanwhile, 30 homes have been severely affected and nearly 72 persons feared missing as a landslide reported in Mahad late last evening. Officials from the civic body, police and other teams rushed to the spot. However, the rescue operation has slowed down due to the heavy rains in the locality. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray took stock of the situation in Ratnagiri and Raigad, the worst affected coastal districts. The Maharashtra CM has asked authorities to remain alert and keep monitoring levels of overflowing rivers and evacuate residents to safer places. He also urged locals to take all necessary precautions.
The Meteorological Department of the southern state of Kerala has predicted heavy rains in the southern state in the coming days. Orange alert has been declared in Ernakulam, Idukki, Kozhikode, Wayanad and Kannur districts for today. All other districts have been given yellow alert. The Met Department has warned fishermen not to venture into the sea in Kerala, Karnataka and Lakshadweep coast till the 26th of this month in the view of a possible high tide.
And moving on, in Jammu and Kashmir, at least 2 terrorists were neutralized in an encounter in Sopore district. 1 slain terrorist was involved in several attacks and killings of civilians. He was the last perpetrator of violence in North Kashmir. Incriminating materials including arms and ammunition have been recovered from the encounter site. And the encounter between the hiding terrorists and security forces started on Thursday night in Sopore during an anti-terror operation. IGP Kashmir in a tweet congratulated police and security forces for conducting the successful operation without any collateral damage.
Well, let's now take a look at important bills that will be taken up in both the Houses of Parliament for consideration and passing today. Starting first up with the upper house, that's the Rajya Sabha. Marine Aids to Navigation Bill 2021, which was moved by the Union Ports, Shipping and Waterways Minister Sarbanand Sonowal on the 19th, will be taken for consideration and passing. Besides, Union Minister of Women and Child Development Smriti Irani will move the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Amendment Bill 2021 for consideration and passing in the upper house. Moving to the Lok Sabha, where the Factoring Regulation Amendment Bill 2020 and the National Institutes of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management Bill 2021 will be taken up for consideration and passing. Some other bills, including bills for introduction, the Uniform Civil Code in India Bill 2020 and the Population Regulation Bill 2019 will also be introduced in the upper house today.
And the Union Cabinet has approved the setting up of a central university in Ladakh and an integrated multi-purpose corporation in Ladakh for infrastructure and construction projects. In another key decision, the Union Cabinet approved a production-linked incentive scheme for specialty steel. The scheme will attract additional investment of nearly 40,000 crore rupees and is estimated to generate more than 68,000 direct employment opportunities in the next 5 years. Here are the details.
A long-standing demand of the people of Ladakh will finally come true with the Union Cabinet giving the green signal to set up a central university in the Union territory.
केंद्र शासित प्रदेश लद्दाख में 750 करोड़ रुपए की लागत से सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी की स्थापना की जाएगी। सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी की स्थापना से उच्च शिक्षा का प्रसार होगा, छात्रों को उच्च शिक्षा के अधिक अवसर मिलेंगे। ये सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी वहां पर अन्य शिक्षण संस्थानों के लिए भी एक मॉडल का कार्य करेगी।
Lieutenant Governor of Ladakh, along with the people, especially the youth, were elated at the decision and welcomed it wholeheartedly.
गर्ल स्टूडेंट्स हैं, क्लास 12 करके घर में बैठी हैं क्योंकि हायर एजुकेशन के लिए उनके माँ बाप लद्दाख के बाहर उन्हें नहीं भेजना चाहते। मेरा ये मानना है कि इस सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी स्थापित होने से, गर्ल्स हॉस्टल स्थापित होने से लद्दाख में लड़कियां बहुत आगे बढ़ चढ़ के पढ़ाई में भाग लेंगी।
एजुकेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। जैसे आप रीड कैट भी बोल सकते हो और अंक भी बोल सकते हो, दिल भी बोल सकते हो। दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, बट दैट्स प्लेज अ वेरी क्रूशियल पार्ट्स। अगर डेवलपमेंट चाहते हो, अगर जो भी करते हो, एजुकेशन इज मस्ट।
सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी होना बहुत ज़रूरी है और ये बहुत खुशी की बात है कि इस साल हमें अप्रूवल मिला है ताकि हमारे बच्चे यहाँ पे अच्छे से पढ़े और दूर जाना ना पड़े।
The cabinet also approved setting up an integrated multi-purpose corporation in Ladakh for infrastructure and construction projects. The corporation will work for industry, tourism, transport and marketing of local products and handicrafts. It will also work as the main construction agency for infrastructure development in Ladakh. The establishment of the corporation will result in inclusive and integrated development of the Union territory and will ensure socio-economic development of the entire region and population of Ladakh.
ये कॉरपोरेशन लद्दाख में उद्योग, पर्यटन, परिवहन सुविधाओं के विकास और स्थानीय उत्पादों और हस्तशिल्प की मार्केटिंग जैसे महत्वपूर्ण कार्य करेगा। ये कॉरपोरेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में के निर्माण में भी एक सहायता उपलब्ध करवाएगा और ये कॉरपोरेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के निर्माण के लिए लद्दाख की मुख्य कंस्ट्रक्शन एजेंसी के रूप में भी कार्य करेगा।
In another key decision, the Union Cabinet has approved a production-linked incentive or PLI scheme for specialty steel. Incentives worth 6,322 crore rupees will be provided over 5 years for manufacturing of these products in India. It is estimated that the scheme will attract an additional investment of about 40,000 crore rupees and is estimated to generate employment of about 5.25 lakhs.
Specialty steel प्रोडक्शन लिंक इंसेंटिव स्कीम, इससे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को बल मिलेगा, आयात कम होंगे, जहां इंपोर्ट कम होने के साथ साथ एंड टू एंड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को भी इससे बल मिलेगा।
Clearly, the government is committed to overall development and decisions taken today will further strengthen the goal of self-reliant India. Shailendra Mishra's report, DD India.
But for more on the story, we've got Arun Sharma standing by to give us an insight, especially into those important cabinet decisions taken. Arun, good morning. Coming first to the PLI that's been introduced, especially in specialty steel. How do you look at it purely in terms of job creation and especially, steel sector, where prices are rising, but specialty steel, how does it help? Which are the sectors that it could help, especially, with this package being announced?
Good morning to both of you and all our viewers. Now, indeed, in last couple of years, we have seen, Anil, that government is expanding the sectors under the PLI scheme. That means government is providing incentives to various sectors, and today government has opened this horizon for the steel sector as well, whereby an incentive worth close to 6,300 crore rupees will be given to the manufacturers who are already established in India as far as steel sector is concerned. Now, what does this mean? This means that government aims to become Atmanirbhar or self-reliant as far as steel sector is concerned. The majority of the steel demand of India is being imported from the other countries. The steel the companies of our country, the steel sector primarily, also faces tough competition from the other countries, specifically China and other countries as well, whereby over there the price manipulation, price fluctuations happen, and that primarily impacts the steel sector of our country as well. So when government provides an incentive of close to 6,300 crore rupees or this PLI scheme of 6,300 crore rupees for next 5 years, this will ensure, number one, the prices of steel will cool down. That's number one. Number two, the import dependence of India will also reduce as far as steel sector is concerned, because we'll be now manufacturing the specialty steel in India, and and government is also providing incentive to the steel sector. So more and more capacity addition will also take place as far as steel sector is concerned. So the steel company companies in our country, the steel manufacturers primarily, will also try to create value chains, the global value chains primarily, and expand their capacities. This will ensure that there is a job creation and employment creation in country like India, because what India is targeting as of now, that via this PLI scheme for the steel sector, it aims to create close to 5 lakh jobs going forward. Now, this incentive scheme is primarily for next 5 years. That means this will give a major cushion to the steel sector. One of the major component is also the forex reserve, because we import more and more steel, specialty steel primarily. So this, by cutting down on this aspect, by reducing our import, this will also help in saving the forex for our country. So in that context, this, the PLI scheme in the steel sector will ensure an overall development for the steel sector, becoming Atmanirbhar in the steel sector, and of course, job creation or in the steel sector as well.
Right, Arun, also a very inclusive decision, the decision to start a central university there. Ladakh always regarded as being too remote for students to travel, but now the Modi government realizing that these are very important aspects to include every part of the country with the rest.
So we know this fact, Rukma, that Ladakh was, ignored for decades primarily, but it is only after Ladakh got the UT status primarily, the Union Territory status after the abrogation of Article 370. Ladakh is again back on the focused area, or it's on the prime agenda as far as Ladakh is concerned. Now, yes, a central university will be there as far as Ladakh is concerned. So what this means? This means that the students or the youngsters of Ladakh will now no longer will have to move from Ladakh for their higher education or higher studies, because there will be a central, university in Ladakh, just like Banaras Hindu University in Banaras, or various other central universities primarily. So there will be Ladakh Central University. So this will ensure that the youngsters of Ladakh region, the youngsters or primary students of Ladakh region will not have to move to other parts of our country. They'll be in a position to get the education over there. Number two, an important decision has also been taken as far as the Multi-Purpose Development Corporation is concerned. Now, this is going to be the game changer as far as Ladakh is concerned. Why? Because Ladakh is a newly formed or a young UT as of now. Ladakh is looking forward to attract investment. Ladakh is, looking forward to create infrastructure in this entire region. Be it the sports sector, be it the tourism, be it the hospitality sector. Ladakh as of now is looking forward to expand its avenues in various sectors. So this development corporation formed or been given a green signal yesterday by the cabinet ensures that there will be, a kind of primarily the focus will be on the aspect that how can more and more investment can be attracted. How can primarily going forward apart from investment there can be in various sectors the demands can be fulfilled, and last but not the least whatever the development requirements or infrastructure development requirements are there for Ladakh region, how can they be fast tracked? So this development corporation or primarily multi-purpose development corporation will ensure that how can infrastructure projects can be fast tracked, how can development be ensured, and whatever the requirement is there of Ladakh region, they can be fast tracked at the highest level. So this development corporation will ensure all this aspect as far as the development of Ladakh is concerned.
Okay, Arun, looking at the fact that incentives to the tune of 6,322 crore, especially in that PLI scheme for specialized steel that's been announced. But looking at it, there has been an uptrend, especially when it comes to demand of steel. And do you see, this particular move, especially, will put India on par with the best in the industry globally, purely looking at the incentive and the rollout that, follows, will follow?
So this PLI scheme has come at a very appropriate time, because after this COVID pandemic time, or primarily, during the COVID pandemic time, we have seen there was a slump in the demand globally. Now, gradually the economy is opening up, so there is also demand as far as, various sectors are concerned. That also includes the steel sector. Now, government has expanded this PLI scheme to other sectors as well. Be it telecom sector and be it various other sectors. Government is ensuring that how can PLI scheme can be ensured for various sectors. So yesterday, government has expanded this PLI scheme for the steel sector. Now, what does this mean for the steel industry or the steel sector of our country? This means that global value chains will be created. India will be in a position to provide a competitive steel product, or primarily specialty steel products to the world as well.
Okay.
India, via this scheme, aims to not to cut down only on imports, but also to become Atmanirbhar, self-reliant, and how can it become a global export hub as far as the steel sector is concerned, or the steel, or specifically specialty steel is concerned. This will also add the capacities up to 25 MT as far as the steel sector is concerned. So on one side, India is going to expand its capacities as far as steel sector is concerned. On the other side, India is going to be part of the global supply chain as far as steel products are concerned, and India will be in a position to provide quality products to the world as well. Because as of now, there is a compromise as far as steel sector is concerned, because there is no major incentives from the government side. But now, as government provides the incentive up to the tune with a corpus of 6,300 crore rupees for the next 5 years, this will ensure that the company will be having huge margin as far as making good and quality steel products that can not only fulfill the requirement of country like India, but it can also be exported to other countries, and that in that context, India can become Atmanirbhar and also be part of the global value supply chain as far as steel sector is concerned. And we should not forget this fact that this is going to have direct impact on the job market as well. 5 lakh jobs, or more than 5 lakh jobs primarily will be created as far as the steel sector is concerned. So in next 5 years is going to be very much crucial, and this PLI scheme is going to be turning point as far as steel sector is concerned, as to how India becomes Atmanirbhar.
Okay, it's going to be a turning point, especially when it comes to the steel sector. We'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us this morning, giving us an insight into those decisions taken in the cabinet meeting. Well, moving forward now to our next story, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar will hold talks with Foreign Minister of Maldives and President-elect of UNGA, Abdulla in New Delhi today. They are likely to discuss key international, multilateral, regional and bilateral issues of mutual interest. The discussions are expected to give further momentum to the rapidly expanding ties between the two countries. An agreement for high-impact community development projects to be implemented with Indian grant assistance in the Maldives will also be signed during the visit. The visiting dignitary will share his vision for UNGA presidency through a virtual public address at the Indian Council of World Affairs premises today. India is the first country that he is visiting in his official capacity as President-elect of the United Nations General Assembly since his election on the 7th of June this month. Well, for more on the story, we've got Amrit Pal Singh joining us on the phone line. Amrit, the significance of the visit and the importance that India, associates with Maldives, especially with the Foreign Minister's second visit this year to India.
Anil, the President-elect of the UN General Assembly, Abdulla Shahid, who is also the Foreign Minister of Maldives, given the fact that this is his first visit as the UN General Assembly, President of the General Assembly elect to any foreign country, emphasizes the point that the importance India has in the global architecture of the world. The Foreign Minister of Maldives said yesterday in an interview that India is central to his 5-point plan for the world body, including reforming the United Nations in a post-pandemic recovery. Now, he basically is talking about how India plays a central role in combating terrorism and how the world body needs to do more on that to arrive at a common definition for the scourge, so that terrorists know that they have no place in a civilized society. Secondly, the fact that there is a need for greater participation of the world in the post-pandemic recovery.
Okay.
And India plays a central role as far as the vaccine production center of the world, or the pharmacy of the world. Abdulla Shahid basically stressing that yesterday in his interviews that he would look at India playing a very key role in India providing a solution to the world when it comes to the post-pandemic recovery. Also, India playing a key role in the UN responsibility for the world in terms of economic recovery, in terms of combating terrorism, and in terms of playing a key role in creating architecture for reform of the Bretton Woods institutions. And he said he would do his part as the president-elect of the UNGA when he takes over the presidency.
Okay, now also with regards to India-Maldives friendship, purely in terms of India always being a first responder whenever Maldives has been in crisis or Maldives has been in need, be it the COVID battle, be it the vaccination drive. So clearly this friendship is pretty cemented and pretty long lasting.
That's right. As you rightly said, that India has been a first responder for Maldives. India was the first country to send assistance to Maldives in terms of vaccines. He's also the Foreign Minister of Maldives. So basically, there are MOUs expected to be signed during this visit, which could have a high impact on community development projects in Maldives. Today, when he meets the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, there are much larger projects that have been in the pipelines, which will be inaugurated this month or the next month. Maldives is a important country as far as the question of neighborhood first policy of India is concerned. So from that point of view, when the two ministers meet, the developmental assistance extended to Maldives would be of key focus today in the meeting of the two foreign ministers, and also the development assistance that India has been extending to Maldives and to take it further would be the key focus of the meetings today.
Okay, we'll leave it there. External Affairs Minister is also scheduled to meet the UNGA President-elect, and so clearly UN reforms on the agenda will also be discussed. We'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Amritpal Singh, this morning on the phone line, giving us an update on the visit. Well, moving forward up now to Jammu and Kashmir. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, police have recovered a drone in Aknoor area of Jammu district. One 5 kg IED was recovered from the drone. The IED was packed. It is believed that this 5 kg IED was to be assembled and later to be used by terrorists to create large-scale destruction. Since the drone attack at the Jammu Air Force Air Base on the 27th of June, several drones have been spotted on multiple locations in Jammu in the last 1 month. Well, for more on the story, we got Ramesh Renaj from Jammu joining us on the phone line. Ramesh, good morning. Ramesh, give us more inputs, especially when it comes to this, this drone that was loaded with a 5 kg IED there. Give us more details with regards to this capture.
SHO, Station Officer, Police Station, Kanachak, he's getting some information that a drone and a packet is lying at village Guda Patan, which is a Kana sector in Jammu district and Aknoor area. That some a drone and some packet is lying there. It is just about 10 to 12 feet from Jammu Aknoor highway. So he rushed to the spot, and upon reaching there, he finds some that black colored drone there. He calls bomb disposal squad from police control room Jammu. And when the bomb disposal squad reaches there, they find that it is a black color drone. Its length is about 6.5 feet, and it was having 6 wings, 2 antennas, and 4 batteries. And it was found that one of the battery was damaged, and the drone was hit by some bullet. And who fired the bullet? It is yet to be ascertained who fired the bullet. But one battery was damaged there. And it was this IED around 4 to 5 kg. It was fitted with in an iron kadai, iron pan. Okay. It was fitted in that, and a packet was there. One loose wire was also there. And this IED. It was fitted. It was a timer IED fitted in an iron pan. So bombs disposal squad reaches there. It destroys that timer IED on the spot. And the police have taken the samples of these. Police has taken the cognizance of the matter and is inquiring into all the circumstances. But further details are awaited here, Thomas.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us. Ramesh Raina giving us an update on that drone recovery, or a drone being shot down in Jammu and Kashmir, and roughly around 5 kilograms of IED being recovered there.
Moving on to other news stories, an update now on our vaccination drive. India's cumulative COVID vaccination coverage has crossed the 42 crore landmark. A total of 42 crore 28,26,035 vaccine doses have been administered across the country so far. More than 48,86,000 vaccine doses were administered in the past 24 hours. Cumulatively, over 13 crore and 29 lakh people in the age group 18 to 44 years across 37 states and union territories have received their first dose, and more than 55 lakh have received their second dose since the start of phase 3 of the drive. 3 states, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh, have administered more than 1 crore cumulative doses of COVID in the age group 18 to 44 years. Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Chhattisgarh, Delhi, Haryana, Jharkhand, Kerala, Telangana, Himachal Pradesh, Odisha, Punjab, Uttarakhand and West Bengal have vaccinated more than 10 lakh beneficiaries of the age group 18 to 44 years for the first dose of the vaccine.
Well, due to sustained and collaborative efforts by the centre and the states along with union territories, less than 50,000 daily new cases have been reported since 25 continuous days. Active caseload currently stands at 4,09,394, and the active cases now constitute just 1.31% of the country's total positive cases. The country reported 41,383 new cases in the last 24 hours, and the overall recovery rate in India currently stands at 97.35%.
And the Rajasthan government has decided to open all schools from the 2nd of next month. The decision was taken in the state cabinet meeting held on Thursday under the chairmanship of Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. The cabinet has decided to start classes in schools, colleges and universities as well. A separate SOP will be issued by the Education Department, consultation with the Health and Home Departments. No more than 20 children are allowed in a classroom.
Well, as fresh cases of COVID-19 declined, the Himachal Pradesh state government has decided to reopen schools for class 10, 11th and 12th from 2nd of August. The decision was taken in the state cabinet meeting held in Shimla on Thursday. It is also decided that the students of class 5 to 8 would be allowed to visit schools to clear doubts from the 2nd of next month. The cabinet has decided to reopen residential and partially residential schools also for these classes with strict following of COVID SOPs. It has also decided that coaching, tuition and training institutions would be allowed to function with effect from the 26th of this month.
And it's time now to move on to news from across the world in our next segment. Bangladesh has reimposed strict lockdown from 6 a.m. today. The restriction comes after an 8-day relaxation from the 15th to the 22nd of July in view of the festival of Eid ul-Adha. State Minister for Public Administration Farhad Hussain said the lockdown this time will be stricter than before. Police, Border Guard Bangladesh and military will be deployed in the country for the enforcement of the restrictions. All offices and factories have been asked to remain closed. Public transport, including road, railways, waterways and domestic flights will remain suspended during this period. Cargo operations and emergency services like hospitals and medical work will not be covered under the restrictions. People will not be allowed to step out of their homes except in emergencies and for the purchase of essentials. On Thursday, Bangladesh reported 187 deaths and 3,697 new cases.
The infectious Delta variant of COVID-19 continues to sweep the United States, leading to surge in new cases. Hospitals are worried with the current surge and say it could worsen or it could be worse than even before the COVID crisis began in 2020. The United States CDC on Thursday said that the 7-day average of new cases in the United States is up 53% over the previous week, and the uptick in US cases is concentrated in regions of the country with lower vaccination rates. According to the White House, Missouri, Florida and Texas account for 40% of all the new cases in the United States.
It's making people sicker, it's getting into a younger population. There's a lot less mitigation in place than last year. Where last year, a lot of communities were masking, there was social distancing, community events were shut down, restaurants had limited capacity. That's all gone away. People are gathering in large numbers in tighter circles, no vaccination rates, no masks, no reaction, all that stuff going away. So that, and then we think that really contagious Delta variant on top of that. It's potentially has a really bad outcome for a lot of communities.
And with COVID-19 cases rising in the United States, people are concerned whether those who have been vaccinated will have to wear masks. Speaking on the issue during a meeting with labor leaders on Thursday, President Joe Biden said his administration would follow the science. Biden emphasized that newer infections were affecting those who have not been vaccinated. Vaccination efforts have stalled in some states amid skepticism and disinformation. Weary Americans emerging from a lengthy pandemic lockdown welcome the lifting of mask requirements this spring and summer.
We have a pandemic among the non-vaccinated, those who are not vaccinated. If you are vaccinated, you are safe. If you are vaccinated, you have over a 98% chance of never catching the virus at all. If you catch it, you're likely to, the overwhelming proof so far is you're not going to be hospitalized, you're not going to be sick, you're going to probably have no signs that you had it, and you are not going to die.
And the Italian government on Thursday announced that from August, people will have to present proof of immunity to access an array of services and leisure activities. Italy has been looking to contain a fresh surge in COVID-19 cases. The Green Pass is a digital or paper certificate that shows if someone has received at least one jab, has tested negative, or has recently recovered from COVID-19. The pass will be required to go to gyms, swimming pools, sports stadiums, museums, spas, casinos and cinemas. Eating in indoor restaurants also requires a pass. The cabinet has agreed that discos should remain closed even for those with a green pass. The number of new coronavirus infections recorded in Italy has doubled over the past week, hitting 5,057 on Thursday. Some 48.2% of Italians are fully inoculated and 14.1% are awaiting a second jab.
Well, a quick look at COVID numbers from world over. The world continues to battle COVID-19. More than 19 crore 34 lakh people worldwide being testing positive for COVID-19. Recoveries across the world, 17 crore 57 lakh. Total deaths, 41 lakh 51,000. United States worst affected in terms of infections as well as death. In terms of infections, over 3 crore 52 lakh cases. In deaths, 6 lakh 26,000 and still counting.
G20 climate, environment and energy ministers kicked off a two-day meeting in Naples on Thursday. Chaired by Italy, the meeting discussed biodiversity and the natural environment on Thursday, while energy and climate change is on the agenda today. Three main themes of the meeting include biodiversity and protection of oceans, promoting circular economies, particularly in the fashion and textile sectors. The realigning of the financial system to promote sustainable development also was a topic of discussion. A communique and press conference are expected today. Britain will be hosting the next UN climate conference called COP26 in November in Glasgow in Scotland.
Well, from Germany to China, floods expose climate vulnerability, and experts believe that climate change is making weather more extreme across the globe. More than a week after floods tore through towns and villages in Germany, the cleanup is far from over. Countless helpers from the firefighters, the emergency services, as well as volunteers sought through the rubble, heavy machinery, taking it away and getting the town back to some sort of order. Across the country, a total of 177 people have been confirmed dead, while another 32 people were killed in neighboring Belgium. The toll is likely to rise further, with more than 100 people still missing in Germany. Germany's National Weather Service has said that the region hit by the deadly floods last week could see more heavy rain this weekend. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Angela Merkel has said that damage from the catastrophic floods was immense and it would take a long time to fix it. Merkel told reporters that for immediate relief, the federal government will initially provide up to 200 million euros in emergency aid. Merkel said not enough has been done to reduce carbon emissions to help tackle global warming. She added that it was important to implement measures compatible with the climate goals in the Paris Agreement.
And mass flooding has left terrifying scenes in China's central Henan province, with tens of thousands of people being evacuated after they were trapped at home for 3 days without electricity, water or food. The death toll from torrential rains that battered Henan province since last weekend has risen to 33. Scientists have said that in China, built-up urban areas with inadequate water evacuation and large dams that modified the natural discharge of the Yellow River Basin may also have contributed to the disaster.
Well, heavy rains have also caused flooding in northeastern Turkey. Village houses collapsed and swept away in floodwaters in northeastern Black Sea province of Arhavi. One person was missing and more than 200 people were evacuated from flooded homes. Floods are common along Turkey's Black Sea coastal region at this time of the year. Last week, at least 6 people were killed and 2 others went missing in floodwaters in Black Sea province of Rize.
From floods to wildlife, varied weather conditions are being witnessed worldwide. In northwestern Ontario of Canada, more than 165 fires have been reported to be burning, which have destroyed huge acres of forest. Dozens of new fires broke out early this week, setting a new record for the number of wildfires in the region. Ontario's authorities say most of the new fires started due to lightning strikes. Meanwhile, heavy smoke was decreasing visibility and hampering the search for new fires.
Russia's northern region, Karelia, neighboring Finland, has also been hit by heavy wildfires as 8.9 thousand hectares of forest were reported burning on Thursday. There are 30 active wildfires now in the region of Karelia. Fires flare across Russian forest land annually, but they have become more intense in recent years amid unusually high temperatures across the northern Siberian tundra. Neighboring Finland is experiencing the same stifling and persistent heat wave. Since the beginning of summer, 3.5 million hectares of forest have been destroyed by fire in Siberia, an area larger than Belgium.
And it's time now for the Web News Review.
Very good morning, Nanin Nabrukma, and the first story that we have taken in the Web News Review segment is from the Times of India, and which says the astronomers survey Milky Way find new insights into star formation. And if you talk about the story in detail, an extensive survey has been conducted by the international team of astronomers, which has revealed unseen pictures with unprecedented sensitivity and details that hint at how stars form and die, and also complex processes that have fascinated researchers for centuries. And researchers also detected how stars form and die and also other traces of the star formation. One of them, for example, is the radio emission from the methanol molecules in a nearby large star forming complex, which is called Cygnus X. Right, moving on to our next story, which we have taken from the Hindustan Times. It's an international story of France, which says France makes COVID-19 pass mandatory for visiting Eiffel Tower and other sites. And talking about the pass should have a person should be fully vaccinated, or he has recovered from the coronavirus, or he has tested negative. He should carry the negative test report also. And if you want to ride up the Eiffel Tower, visit French museums or the movie theaters, this pass is mandatory. And the French President Emmanuel Macron, he also wants to expand the COVID-19 pass requirement to all the French restaurants and also many other areas of public life, as well as requiring that all health workers get the vaccine shot. So this is an important development. And talking about the third story, which we have taken from the Deccan Herald, which is a business story. Most awaited phone OnePlus Nord 2 has been launched, and the prices, best part is the price, which begins from 27,999, almost 28,000. And talking about the features of this smartphone, it's a 5G phone. It has different bands of 5G, and this is the first OnePlus phone to come with a MediaTek chipset, and the design is very similar to the OnePlus 9 series, particularly the OnePlus 9 if we talk about. And the best part is the camera. It has 3 rear cameras, 50 megapixel, 8 megapixel and 2 megapixel. And talking about the 50 megapixel camera, it has Sony IMX766 primary sensor. Then the front camera is of 32 megapixel. Fourth story, we have taken this story from Sports. Second ODI between West Indies and Australia has been called off, and the reason is the COVID positive case. And this is very interesting story. Right after the toss, Australia had won the toss in the second ODI against West Indies, but then someone tested positive, and we are getting the news that neither of the team members have tested positive. It's from the support staff of the West Indies team. So the match had to be suspended, and all the stakeholders inside the bubble will immediately be placed into isolation. And as soon as the match was cancelled, the players were asked to leave to their dressing rooms, and then eventually they had gone to their hotel rooms. And Australia was scheduled to play the West Indies, the third ODI, on Saturday, and it seems that third ODI will also be called off, and rest of the tours is also in considerable doubt. Next story, we have taken, this is also a sports story. We have taken this story from the Indian Express, talking about the Indian practice match, which 3-day warm-up game that they are playing against Durham. Good thing is that Jadeja has scored his second 50, consecutive 50 in the test matches. In the first, game, I should say, in the first innings also he had scored a 50. Now again he has scored a 50 against the county side Durham. Good thing is also that Cheteshwar Pujara, Mayank Agarwal and Hanuma Vihari, they are also amongst runs. Agarwal has scored 47, who will likely to open the innings with Rohit Sharma in the first test match starting 4th August. And Pujara also scored 38. Hanuma Vihari also scored 40 odd in the second innings. And we all know earlier in the first innings, KL Rahul scored 100. He is wicket keeping also, because we know Ridhiman Shah is not playing this practice match. Rishabh Pant is also in isolation, so it will be interesting to see whether KL Rahul will be part of the first test match starting August 4 against England. Well, that's all we have in this segment. Anil and Rukma, back to you.
Well, thank you, Abhishek, for giving us those insights, especially into the social media websites and newspapers there online. Well, time for now for us to move on to our next segment.
Sports Track coming up next.
Well, the opening ceremony is just few hours away, and the world is waiting for the already delayed summer games. While the pandemic posed a tough challenge, the spirits are still high. The next report brings you all that you need to know about the opening ceremony.
Sports fans across the world are eagerly awaiting the start of the Summer Olympics in Tokyo from Friday after a year-long delay due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The mega quadrennial event will kick off with a highly anticipated opening ceremony in Tokyo. However, the event to be held at the newly built National Stadium in the Japanese capital will be a scaled-down and sobering affair amid the COVID-19 pandemic. About 950 people, including officials and journalists, will watch the opening ceremony of the Olympics at the main stadium, from which spectators have been banned.
Yes, 950 people will be attending as stakeholders, and athletes are allowed to participate. We're taking countermeasures. The athletes have to comply with the playbook. So, a minimum of 1 meter and possibly 2 meters of social distancing is required. And they have to wear masks all the time.
The opening ceremony of the Games will feature beautiful Japanese aesthetics. Japan had announced that the participants will be competing in empty venues so that the health risks amid the COVID-19 pandemic can be minimized.
It is very unfortunate to hold the Games under such situation of the pandemic. But the athletes have prepared for Olympics every 4 years. And I think with the Games delay for 1 year, it makes it more difficult for them. So I want to support the athletes so that they can enjoy the Games.
India is being represented by 127 athletes in the Games, with the overall contingent size being 228, including officials, coaches, other support staff and alternate athletes in view of COVID-19. Few athletes and 6 officials from the Indian contingent will attend the opening ceremony at the National Stadium. 6-time world boxing champion MC Mary Kom and Manpreet Singh, the men's hockey team skipper, will be India's flag bearers at the opening ceremony. The march past will be in Japanese alphabetical order, and India number is 21st in march past as conveyed to the Indian Olympic Association. India has sent its largest contingent ever to the Olympics, with 127 members showcasing their talent at the showpiece event. The Indian athletes will be competing across 18 sporting events. India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has made elaborate arrangements to bring the live action to its viewers. DD National will telecast the opening ceremony live from 4:30 p.m. in the evening. DD Sports will broadcast the Tokyo Olympics live daily, while other channels of Doordarshan and All India Radio will air special programs on the mega international sporting event. Different sporting events at the Olympics will be broadcast live daily on DD Sports from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. Daily shows on Olympics on DD Sports include India at Tokyo at 8:30 p.m., Olympics highlights at 9 p.m. and Olympics Stat Zone at 9:30 p.m. Daily shows on Olympics on DD India include special program every day at 8:30 p.m. and special segments in Breakfast News, Midday Prime and News Night. Daily shows on Olympics on DD News include special program from Monday to Friday at 7 p.m. and on Saturday at 5 p.m. Besides, special segments will be aired in Breakfast News, Midday Prime and News Night. Sports Desk, DD India.
Well, Narayan Singh standing by to give us the latest on Olympics opening ceremony at 4:30 p.m. this evening. Narayan's, looking at the way, especially when it comes to the archers there in the qualifying, we have Deepika Kumari in action early in the morning, especially in the qualifiers. How do you look at, her performance as she finishes the qualifying, and also the men's, archery, the men's individual archery players as they get down into action today?
Definitely, Deepika is a big medal hope for India, but as far as we talk about the ranking round, she finished 9th. She started in the first half, she was not up to the mark, but in second half she recovered and finished 9th in the ranking round. And it's very important to perform well in a ranking round, because the ranking rounds provides the seeding, and according to that their competitors will be decided. So Deepika finished 9th here, and later on today Atanu will be there in the fray and other archers will be there. So a crucial day as far as the ranking rounds is concerned, and it will give the seedings to the archers.
Right, and when we talk about the opening ceremony, as the games kick off today, we believe that the entire nation of Japan had a lot planned. It must be a big disappointment. What are your sources telling you about the kind of enthusiasm for the games there, the kind of support and best wishes that people are giving out and reaching out to the athletes?
Definitely, if you talk about the enthusiasm is there all over the world, the people are cheering the athletes. Even in India, PM Modi is cheering the Indian athletes. The sports minister is cheering the athletes, but there are no spectators at the venues in the Japan. But despite of that, there is no lack of enthusiasm. People are waiting for this event, and it was delayed by 1 year due to the pandemic. As far as there will be less number of people, less number of athletes in the opening ceremony because of the COVID rules are there. 28 Indian members, 22 athletes and the 6 officials will take part in the opening ceremony, and India will be at the 21st numbers in the parade. So all in all, a big event. It can't be bigger than this because the world's top athletes, the world's biggest athletes, wait for this occasion to showcase their talent. And as far as India is concerned, day one will be crucial for them after the opening ceremony, because there will be 4 medal hopes in archery, in shooting, in weightlifting. Mirabai Chanu will be there, Saurabh Chaudhary will be there. Day one will be crucial because it will set the tone, set the momentum for the coming days in the Olympics.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Since its inception, India has managed to win 28 medals at the Olympic Games, and this time around, if India can get into double digits, especially when it comes to medals, it's surely going to be a big cheer for Team India and the contingent, and for over 130 crore Indians. Well, moving forward, Union Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs Anurag Thakur also launched a campaign called Hamara Victory Punch. Many celebrities enthusiastically participated in the campaign. Let's take a look.
Best of luck to our Indian Olympic team for the Tokyo Olympics. Here's my victory punch. Cheer for India.
And actor Salman Khan also cheered for Indian athletes. As we were telling you, representing India in the Tokyo Olympic Games, that was the actor with that victory punch symbol.
Well, exactly. Many other celebrities have also joined in, especially when it comes to that particular celebrity punch or Hamara victory punch. So we expect each and every one, tag your friends, tag anybody that you want, tag 5 people as you cheer for India. Remember, there are 127 Indians taking part in that Olympic Games in Tokyo, and the athletes there will feel the heat. Remember, they are playing in empty stadiums, not many fans to watch the action, so they would be hoping for as many people cheering back home in India, and those cheers will make a lot of difference, especially to the morale and to the determination and to the grit and fight they put there at the biggest spectacle, biggest sporting spectacle or biggest sporting extravaganza one looks forward to in his or her sporting life, the Summer Games. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of Breakfast News. But remember that fight against COVID-19 and vaccination continues. So do not forget to get yourself vaccinated. Do not forget, and when you step out for vaccination or heading for a vaccination drive, please carry along or get your friend, get your family member along, so that more and more people get vaccinated. Remember, you and I need to see a better tomorrow.
And as we go, as always, we leave you with glimpses, some interesting visuals that we've collected from somewhere around the world. Today it's of London Zoo squirrel monkeys playing with colorful world flags in an America-themed enclosure. Take a look and enjoy. Namaskar.